All right, guys, are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Tell us in the comments section if you see us live. So, Crypto Mikkel, I see you in the comment section. Faded, brother, thank you so much for being present in the comments and being such a strong supporter of Mind Your Biz for the long haul. And we see several people who are tuned in right now. You let us know when you can see us and hear us, and give us a little howdy down in the chat.
Nothing yet?
Nope. Yes. Okay, we are live. I got confirmation, guys.
Awesome. All right, awesome.
So, hey, Nerd Girl, we're doing Mind Your Biz Monday on a Wednesday. It's like Taco Tuesday on a Friday.
I know.
How does that work?
So we just kind of, this was the day that it made sense for Ethan to come on the show, and we were kind of accommodating Ethan because, we both put some time into promoting and playing on Note Social. So
yeah. Absolutely. So guys, just so you know, you see Ethan Shen
this coming Monday.
Yeah, you guys see Ethan Shen. He's over in the corner. Now, Ethan, they're not going to be able to see you. The way this is set up, they're not going to be able to see you until you say hello to them.
Hello, guys. Can you see me now?
Yes, guys. Right. Yeah. Say hello to Ethan Shen, the not lead developer, right? You are
founder.
Part of the leadership of Note, but not lead developer.
No, I'm not a developer. I don't have a coding background.
Okay.
So just FYI, I can't. I just have this window open. I don't see the YouTube comments. So if you see something interesting, just bring it up to me. So I'm not reading them right now.
Sure thing. Yeah, it's usually better practice not to, right? I've got pretty strict controls on the YouTube comments, so we don't get really, really bad trolling. But
no, I just got Wi-Fi issues, so I'd rather just not have the bandwidth issues. So.
All right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, Seth, did you have a chance to write a note post to remind everyone that we are live with Ethan right now?
I am doing so as we speak.
Awesome.
So they'll jump in on YouTube, I think, probably directly.
All right, guys. Nice. So right before we went live, Seth was telling me that he hasn't really felt like, he likes Note, of course, but he hasn't totally felt the Note love that I have. So, tip Seth's post, please.
Well, let's be clear. Insiders will know that the pictures of my ass were different from the pictures of your ass.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Okay, I missed something here.
So Ethan, before you get nervous, I posted photos of a donkey.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah. Well, I mean, we have people posting their stuff on there. That's all right.
All the time, and it's not even just women. I mean, it's consistently both. It's consistently gender neutral with the way that people post.
That's right.
I don't really know why it is, but it's maybe stress relieving in this weird, chaotic time that we're living in.
Yeah, and I mean, it's nice that it's gone. It's gone after 24 hours. So
yeah, except for when people screenshot or save your images, right?
Oh, that's true. People can, screenshot it, but you can use an alias. You don't have to use your real name.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. You don't have to use your real face or your real body.
That's right. Yeah.
You don't even have to use your real identity. You can just make a bunch of sock puppets. I kid. We're not trying to encourage anybody to game the system.
All right. So, I kind of just want to jump right in with a question that's been at the forefront of the discussion about Note Social on Twitter, if that's okay with you.
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
Awesome. So Daniel Jones has brought up a criticism about Note's centralization. I see what his concern is right now. The post that he's discussing specifically is that, Note has been able to remove a post, and that means that the platform is centralized. So while the post that we're talking about was child pornography, I didn't actually see the post or wasn't even aware that it happened until several days later. But I can actually see what Daniel's criticism is. So now you say, and I can see this too, that to be in Apple's App Store and Google, what's it called? Google's Google Play, there are certain requirements that you have to meet, right? You have to have certain requirements. But moving forward, the fact that Note has the ability to remove posts could mean that there could be other influential players holding enough Note tokens or with enough stake in Note that Note could censor people because of that. So I'm curious about what the plan, in the same way that some of the centralized social media platforms that we all operate on today are very much influenced by big tech companies. So
Sure.
I'm curious about what the solution is for that, where you're going. I've seen the discussion go in several different directions, and
Yeah, so let me explain first how Node is the centralized and the decentralized part of Node, and what our plan is going forward, our long-term plans. So Node is built on a Litecoin clone, so it's a script POW proof of work algorithm. The blockchain is open as Litecoin and Bitcoin. Anyone can mine it. So that's decentralized. That's decentralized as the other POW coins. The app is not decentralized, and I've never claimed that the app is decentralized. It is we have to get mass distribution, we have to be on iOS and Google Play stores. And of course you have to follow certain guidelines in there, and especially with sensitive topics such as exploitation of children. So what we say is we're censorship resistant, and which means we won't delete posts because of your opinion or because of you say something, but if it's illegal content, then we have to delete it. Otherwise, we will get kicked off the platforms and whatnot. And so the censorship resistance is our philosophy, our policy. But of course, if we want to say, okay, so there's a difference between resistance and proof, right? We never claim that we're censorship proof, or maybe a better word would be uncensorable. That would mean then there's no mechanism for censorship whatsoever. So, it's a relative thing where we believe we are censorship resistant because you've seen all kinds of stuff on there, and as long as they're tagged 18 plus, I really don't have a problem with it. People have said lots of things about me and other stuff as well as adult content. None of that matters. And in fact, besides removing that post, the user that's that posted that, they can still post. They're still on the Note platform. They can still use it. Now, what I would encourage people to do is, first of all, if your content is 18 plus, tag it as 18 plus. That's easy to do. It's just one tap.
I have questions about that too that I want to come back to.
Okay, sure. But then what I want to make very clear is that, if you're posting illegal content such as, images exploiting children, threats against other people, things that are not covered in the First Amendment. And, people would say, oh, there's, First Amendment covers everything. But, we all learn in, high school social studies, you can't yell fire in the theater, right?
Right. Thank you. We had a presidential candidate on not long ago talking about the first 5 amendments because they tend to be so felt so personally by individuals in the United States, and the First Amendment is one of the most misunderstood for how foundational it is. It's kind of sad how misunderstood it is.
And if you threaten someone, that's by law you can you're held responsible for it. So things like that, and I'm sure I'm missing some other stuff as well. But things like that, if it gets reported, it gets stored on the server. And if a U.S. law enforcement agency comes with a formal request, we will send your information out to them. We will share their information. So, it's the app requires your phone number to sign up. So don't think just because you're using a burner number that they can't track you. It just depends on how much effort they want to put into tracking you. There's stories about drug cartels that use special encrypted phones, and they think they're safe, but they all get tracked. So we are, and I think it's important to realize the difference between resistance and proof, right? We've never claimed, to be censorship proof or uncensorable. So I think that's the difference.
Okay, so And there was some discussion about potentially having users host their own content.
Yes.
And
So that's the long term. The long term plan is, and we haven't found an algorithm that we like, and I believe personally that there will, since there's so many people working in the blockchain space, that we will have a much better algorithm coming up in a few years. So I mean, you already seen Bitcoin can be seen as the 1.0, Ethereum's kind of the 2.0, maybe Cardano is the 3.0. I don't know. I don't know enough about Cardano yet. But as the next generations of blockchain come online, our long-term goal is to move all of the hosting onto the blockchain, but retain the ability to both remove the post after 24 hours. I think the limited time nature of the posting is a feature in the social media space. I don't see, obviously for contracts and for transactions, immutability is a great feature. But for social media, I don't believe it is, because 99% of it is just, people having fun with their friends and, joking and do you really want to be judged by what you said 10, 15 years ago, for a job interview or whatever? So that's my personal belief. That's what our company operates on. So we need to have a blockchain that can not only host, have high transaction speeds, host social media, but also be able to remove them. And if the app aims to be on the iOS and Google ecosystems, we still have to have some level of control over the content. So no, we're not censorship proof. We'll never claim that. We have never claimed it. But if they don't understand the difference between resistance and proof, then I really, I don't know what to say.
Well, hopefully, Ethan, this can become the definitive interview where you explain it, and at least the two of us can claim to understand that. It seems like
so did that make sense?
Person should be able to. Yes, as you've explained it, it makes sense to me.
Okay, you, Nicole?
Yeah, it does. It makes sense to me, and also, I've been Note launched in February. Is that correct?
The social media part of it launched in February. The app with just the printed notes feature that launched in January 2019.
Okay, so even in February, when I joined Note and said, "Hey, this is a decentralized social media platform," you were very quick to correct me and tell me it's not decentralized. So
okay, yeah. I don't remember that incident specifically, but yeah, I've said that to people. The app is not decentralized. The blockchain is decentralized.
And so, I mean, I think that there are a lot of people who have interpreted the fact that Note is a blockchain, social media platform as decentralized, but Note itself has never made that claim.
Exactly. And the app, so what you can basically say is the app is a service layer built on top of a blockchain. Then that gets rid of the whole controversy, because people are always saying like, they're just nitpicking over claims that we have never made. And, that just kind of takes up, we have this discussion before, and I'm sure other people will come and say, oh, no, it's not decentralized. Oh, no, panic. And it's like, oh, okay, here we go again.
Yep. Actually, haters gonna hate. So let's go to this discussion about 18 plus. Now, it's a feature that was added, I don't know, somewhat recently in the last couple of months. And
yeah, it was in April or May, something around there.
Sorry, what?
It was in April or May or something.
April or May. Okay, around the time.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, by the way. I logged into the app once or twice and saw just a couple of images. Like, without getting too graphic, I'll just say I saw a pineapple placed somewhere that it was not supposed to be, and I thought, like, I can never unsee that. I wish I could just filter it out, like.
Well, we had a user, Jack is his name, that basically inspired or encouraged us to put in both the 18 plus filter and the block feature. Because, initially when I made the social media part, I was a little bit idealistic and say, well, people, if they don't get tipped, they'll eventually get tired of it, and they won't do that. So I was trying to use positive enforcement, but that doesn't work. So we put in those features for users to be able to manage their own content, what they see. But you still had a question, Nicole. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So, okay. So I know that the 18 plus feature is positive, and by default, if you don't enable, enable yourself to see, by default, you are not enabled to see whatever is marked 18 plus. So that's kind of a, unique and cool. It's not like you have to turn off that feature. So it assumes that users don't want to see anything sensitive, right? So my question is about when it is appropriate to use that filter and not. Now, obviously, you use that, use that 18 plus if you're posting anything that actually, shows anything that's supposed to be private. But I've seen people, using it when they're talking about certain features or, about certain things. I've seen people use it when they're posting about cannabis or various different things. And what I'm curious about is from, your perspective, from the perspective of Note blockchain, when is it appropriate or when is it really necessary that switch be toggled?
Right now, it's just an honor system, and we rely on users to judge for themselves. I would encourage people to basically follow the laws and the norms in their own country, in their own culture. And obviously, this being a worldwide platform, internet-based platform, there will be differences, from user to user, from different cultures. But I would encourage you to, if you are in doubt, put it on, because we do have, kids using it. We do have parents that are using it when their kids are around. So, it's just a nice thing in the community that you're doing. And if you're, for most people, they don't the people that want to see it, they'll see it anyways. So I would just encourage you, if you're not sure, then it's probably a good idea to turn it on.
Okay.
But we don't have any enforcement policies right now. We don't have any, there's no retribution for not turning on when you really should. That may come in the future, but right now it's still just pretty much an honor system.
Okay, awesome. But I like the response is if it's even questionable, maybe.
Yeah. If you're not sure, you probably should turn it on.
Yeah.
Okay,
hey,
cool.
Nicole, can I jump in with a related question here real fast?
Yeah.
So Ethan brings up the reality that there are a lot of international users of the Note social platform right now. I've noticed this very clearly. Some folks who are very clearly from Southeast Asia. I can't tell precisely where because I don't speak enough languages to be able to track sometimes the phrases that are being said. Very clearly some folks who are either from India or other parts of South Asia. And it seems like there's a bit of a cultural disconnect. It even though it's a very visual platform, a lot like, say, Instagram or Snapchat, I don't feel a lot of a social connection with some of these people. And unfortunately for me, the only recourse that I have so far is to block. If I want to make sure that my feed is kind of mostly represented by people that I would be having a social exchange with. Is there a plan to do any further localization or toggles for localization within the app so that maybe, like for me, if I want to stick strictly to English speaking, I understand there are a lot of folks in Manila, for example, who are perfectly comfortable in English. And I have friends from Philippines who are perfectly comfortable in English and would be happy to stay on social media only speaking English, and we could connect. But moving forward, how should I handle that? And is there a plan to change that on the platform level to make it easier for users like me?
Long term, we do want to have a mute function. So you're not blocking them. You're just not seeing most of their posts, but they can still see your post and still interact with you in the comments. But for the time being, but that's not even included in the October release. So you might have to wait a few months for that. But for now, if you just stick to the if I could explain how the algorithms work in the Note blockchain. So your post is only your post in chronological order, right? In the following, I think, is it friends or following? It's only people that you follow and your contacts and what they tip. And actually what they tip and what they like. In the trending, then it's only, in the following or the friends post, it's what your friends, your contacts, what they tip, what they like, and then that's all in chronological order. Okay. In the trending, then that's only going by the amount that's tipped to their post. And I think was there one more? I don't even.
I think there's one more category of all.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
catch-all
all is
category.
everybody. Yeah, so that's really for for you to discover new people, new friends, new stuff. So I think as long as you're not following them and adding your contacts, unless as long as you don't have too many contacts that are have a lot of friends in the international community, you probably won't see that too much in the first 3 tabs. It's mostly in the all tab that you see them. But short term, no, we don't really have that hasn't been part of the planned development cycle, but it is something that we're definitely evaluating about adding. And I mean, quite likely to add, but I just can't promise anything because it hasn't been, nothing's been put on paper about that yet.
Okay. Hey, thanks for letting me kind of butt in. It seemed like a reasonable place to ask that question because it was related to content curation.
Yeah. And I mean, that's one of the things that when we say, if I can jump in or tag on to it a little bit more, one of the things that we say when we say that we're censorship resistant is one of the principles is that we make our algorithms understandable and easily verifiable. So there's no, what do they call that? The shadow banning, like on Twitter or on some other platforms. What you see is what you get, and if it's not, there's probably a bug somewhere. Just let us know. But our principle is that our algorithms will always be clear, and you can verify it. You don't have to just trust us.
Okay, awesome. Now, on that note, and I apologize, one more follow-up question. You mentioned that as far as content ranking, Facebook used to call theirs edge rank, right? And nobody has a name for it anymore, but content ranking algorithms within Note, you mentioned that with friends and with trending, there's a function of both the like the time that it was posted as well as the like count, and then within trending it's purely tips, but within friends, that the friends column, in fact, I'm gonna pull this up, see if I can get a really good close-up of this so people can see right now while we watch. Not sure how visible that is or how clear that is.
It's a little blurry, but we can see it.
Yeah, there are a few columns there, but I'm in the friends column right now, or the friends tab on the top navigation. In that area, is there a weighted value for likes versus tipping?
Not right now. Right now it's purely chronological, but they won't appear in that column unless they're either a friend or contact of yours, or a friend or contact has either liked or tipped a post. So if you scroll down, if you look at the time, when it was posted, it should all be chronological.
Okay, so since we're here, I actually wanted to bring up the issue of of the note system, of the note tipping system, controlling what trends, and because a lot of people have, because people have done, I don't know, what they've called like wash tipping, where one person, and so there had been some discussion about reworking how trending is categorized, and I wanted to, ask you what you could share about that, and
Sure. So that's planned as part of the October development cycle. We are going to do something about it. We haven't finalized exactly how we will rework it. And again, we want to stick to the principle that it's easy to understand and easily verifiable by anybody. So most likely, and I want to keep it as simple as possible. I mean, so most likely we will incorporate the amount of likes a post has. So because that's a good indicator of how engaged people are with the post, and maybe the unique number of users tipping the post. So it'll just be those 3 numbers multiplied together. Maybe there'll be some multipliers, extra multipliers, like a like is counted 3 times instead of just once or something like that. But we haven't finalized it. So, but basically, it's going to be likes times tips, and maybe times the number of unique users tipping the post.
Okay, I love that actually, because likes, because tons of people don't have enough note to really feel
exactly.
Yeah, but they still want to engage and enjoy the content. And then also unique number of people contributing would definitely help. I can see that. Awesome. Thanks. I love
Yeah,
that.
so the likes thing is I want to give a way for users to help the post trend even without using notes. So that's why we're incorporating it.
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Yeah.
But that's not a promise yet. Okay, that's in the plan.
Just a discussion.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so I have one more question before I want to get into the secret feature, and that's who runs the NTBC official account on Note?
It's myself and on Notes it's just me.
Just you. Okay. All right.
So,
and
on Twitter, it's myself and Iska, which is a community member and a member of the Note Foundation.
Okay, so
People
yeah,
have access to Twitter. Go ahead. Sorry, I keep
so that
cutting
was
you off.
kind of my question. Is that Iska? I've always been saying his name Eska, but it's Iska. Okay, so Iska there have been some issues with him and certain community members. I won't say who, but so I guess there's sort of a concern if somebody who has an issue with certain members of the community is controlling a majority of Note's funds. And I guess I wanted to, I don't know, discuss that.
I mean, that's kind of between the two of you. I don't see how that would
Sure,
affect
but I'm
the
not
project.
the only person.
Okay, but I mean, how would that affect the project? I mean, he might not tip your post or might not click like on it, but...
Well, I'm not talking, so let's take me out of it and say, that if what is trending is relative to how much something is tipped, and the person who is controlling Note's official funds has an issue with someone, let's just pretend it's not me because I'm not concerned about my,
Okay, why don't you just tell them the truth? Nicole, it's about me. All right, just stop sugarcoating this. It's got a problem with me. Okay, let's just hash this thing out.
Well, look, I have plenty of other friends who have, plenty of people on Note who I'm not really worried about that specific issue, but I could see that coming up as a cause for concern.
I guess I'm not understanding the question that well because, I mean, it's typical for the post to get, even the top trending, it's rare to get, above 100K on lotteries and stuff. You could get into 500K or, rarely there would be 1 or 2 million on the top post. That's happened before. But I mean, he's not controlling any of the pre-mine funds. It's whatever he has came from either himself or he mined or bought it, or I did give him, I think, $1 million or something for helping with something before, but it's not any significant amount. And I mean, just the fact that he doesn't tip a post, it doesn't bring the trending down. It just doesn't add to it. I don't like the negative enforcement mechanism. I like the pot. So we've never been about that. So I guess I'm still not. You still have a question. So I guess I didn't really fully understand or answer your question.
Okay, well, actually, so kind of there are several people aside from Note official blockchain who hold really, really large portion of of Note's tokens, and I guess the question is more about I guess it's really just an issue of as time goes on and those tokens are circulated, or sorry, they're not called tokens, they're called coins. Is that correct?
They're coins, yeah.
Coins. Okay, so as the coins are circulated more throughout the community, there runs the risk of the few people controlling what's trending or what gets tipped runs a decreased risk. Is that right?
I guess on a technical level that could be, but I mean, after the OTC sale, we have some whales that I've seen some wallets with like 500 million or something notes, but yeah, who tips all their notes to one post, right? So, and I mean it's the trending's gone in 24 hours. So just if they are trying, so okay, maybe I see a
I'm talking about
scenario where
favoritism being built within the community, or like
okay,
new members being reluctant to join because a number of note whales are people who don't like those people.
Yeah.
I can see what where you're going. I think if let's say you have a post and you wanted to trend, and the note whales are perhaps, if they don't like you, they're maybe tipping another post to, so they push yours down. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, yeah, and not specific to me. I'm talking about other people who have talked about reasons why they have not joined Note, and that being because there are some tensions between them and large stakeholders in the community.
I mean that's really gotta be down to you guys to I respect their decision not to, if that's the case. But if the platform's open to everybody, if you want to be a whale, you can mine or buy it as well, and you can push their post down if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna just jump in really fast here and bring up. Am I muted?
I can hear you.
That's weird because the bottom corner says that as a participant I'm muted. That's weird. Just I mean, I think it's just a platform being weird because I see the highlight as well. So there's a comment in the live comments on YouTube now coming from Amiris Brown. Hello, Amiris. Thank you for commenting.
Hey.
And she's just mentioning that just other platforms, and I apologize, we'll come back to talking strictly about Note Social in just a moment here. I hate drawing comparisons because it's never a perfect comparison, right? But Hive and Steam, they were similarly platforms, and Steam in particular is kind of so weird to call it a legacy platform, right? It's not even 5 years old, right? But it's a legacy platform in this space where they're attempting to monetize attention for content. And but within Steam and with Hive, there has been an issue historically of there being people who are large stakeholders or have massive bags, right? There were whales in the space who wind up becoming the de facto gatekeepers for new content. So there it can be weaponized apparently, and we've got a bit of a track record there. Like, it's not hypothetical, it's not something that you have to worry about in theory. You can take the practical lessons from some of those platforms and you can incorporate into some of the incentives in game theory for Note Social, it seems. Have you spoken to anybody who's already worked on those platforms, or anybody who came from those platforms looking for a better place to publish their content on Note?
No, I haven't, to be honest. And I mean, to be honest, this is the first time I've heard about this concern. So I haven't really spent any time thinking about it. But if this is something, what I can do, I can't promise anything right now, but I can, look into it and see how that might affect it, how much we might be able to address it. That's
awesome.
That's what I can give for now.
Well, can I ask in relation to that, and I appreciate that it's sensitive trying to commit roadmap or trying to commit resources. I know that resources are always spread very thin when it comes to developing a project. Are you committed to anything like a town hall for people who are active contributors to the platform? I mean, I'm thinking of earlier YouTube partner program where they tried to do outreach with some of the bigger names on YouTube. Not that it's a perfect system, but something like a town hall. Are you open to doing something like that?
I wouldn't say no to it right now, but we haven't ever thought about doing it. So that's the honest answer.
Great. Then I guess that's
we're
my
open
suggestion.
to anything, but we're open to considering different options. But right now we can't, obviously can't commit to anything. But to be honest with you, I haven't thought about a feature like that. So I could think about it a little bit, but yeah.
Okay, great. Well, then I'm going to get, hey guys, down in the live chat on YouTube, if you think something like a town hall meeting would be good for the Note team to consider, give us a thumbs up in the chat. If you think, nah, that's not the best thing because we've seen that not work for other platforms, hey, spread the love. Warn us against that. If you think it's a bad idea, give us a thumbs down in the chat.
Yeah, and put in the comments so that after it goes not live, but after it gets posted, leave a comment and let me know, because that I could refer back to.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so Ethan, what's the secret feature?
We're gonna sell shoes because there's a shoe picture posted, right? No.
Hey, you can do a screen share if you want to. Also, if you've got something on screen, you can share either an application window or you can share a browser window if that helps. If you've got visual aids.
Right now, I can't share anything, but I can explain it. So obviously, the selling shoes was a joke, but so similar to printing out a note and give it to someone, what we will implement is that you can give the people from your contact list only. So this isn't, you can't just give it to anybody. You have to nominate them and send the challenge to them. And basically what it's going to do is you can send a challenge to say, Seth, I challenge you to walk 10,000 steps on Friday. And if you do, you get X amount of notes. Let's say I give you, 50,000 notes. And the app will use your phone's health monitoring system as the oracle to verify whether you did those 10,000 steps. So you can send it to multiple people. So if I want to send it to, I think the limit is 10. I have to double check, but you can send it to multiple people and say, I'll sponsor you guys if you keep, do 10,000 steps on this day or that day. And the same thing happens if you don't meet the challenge or you decline the challenge, then the notes will come back to my wallet. So it's a kind of a health challenge thing where, I know I'll use it for my family because my kid and my wife, and myself as well. Hopefully they'll challenge me to do it. It's a little bit different than the other walking apps out there that's today, because they are giving the notes from the official account or from the company account and incentivizing people to use it. Whereas we're leveraging the social media part of it. So you can challenge your friends and family and basically anyone that's in your contacts list to do it. And we see a potential where if we get if we get the number of users going and if we get it working well, we can use it for companies. So let's say if Microsoft has a health awareness day, or they want to encourage their employees to be healthier and walk more, they can use that as a system for them. Obviously, 10 users is not going to cut it for a company like that, but we may, if this works well and the user reception is good, we can easily scale that up, right? And there are a lot of companies, even back in 2008 or 10 or something like that. When I was working in corporate, we had wellness programs where people, if we work out a certain number of minutes or do a certain number of steps, you get some kind of bonus from the company. But that was run on an honor system. But now we have smartphones that can be an oracle for us. So that's the crust of it.
That's awesome, man. Well, I personally, I'd be excited to help stress test your system.
All right.
I'm not gonna go into details, but I'm pretty sure if you issued me a challenge, I could absolutely beat it.
And I know what you're saying. So the Note app is not going to be, it's going to be using either iOS health monitoring or Google health monitoring, and however they verify steps, and however if you're just kind of putting in a shaker and or something, if they count as a steps in those apps, then the Note app will just take that as a step as well. But we don't have the resources, or we don't have the we don't want to do a proprietary system where we are kind of taking that challenge on for verification. Something already exists. There's APIs that they use, that other apps can tap into, and that's what we're going to leverage.
Okay, awesome. So, what are some of the other of the other new features that come with this latest round of updates in Note?
Okay, so the one that's coming out at the end of this week is going to be this feature, the health challenge, and it's going to be a native referral system. So instead of having a very clunky referral system on the web page right now, everybody will have, if you just tap the you go to the menu, hit referral. You have your own referral code that's permanent that you can give it to your friends. Once they sign up, if they use your code, excuse me, there's a amount of notes that both of you can get, and I can set that in the back end. So initially, we might go with just one block reward, so 3,804. So you get one, and your friend gets one. That's just signed up. So that's going to be coming out this week, and the other one is scheduling posts within Note itself. So if you want to schedule posts for a couple hours from now or whatever, you could do that now on the app.
Awesome. Yeah.
In the October update, then that comes with the chat, the group chat. Let me see. Video posting, but only on YouTube. So you can post a YouTube video, get tipped for it. Users can open the video in the app. They don't have to go, into the browser or the YouTube app. And reposting. So this is where we talk about right now. The posts are only 24 hours. Repost is a feature where if you see something that you like, you can repost another user's app or another user's post, and it will stay up for another 24 hours. So that's another way for the community to help each other. And the tips from your repost will go to the original poster. It won't go to you. So it's an altruistic thing where this is content that you like, and you're helping the other person. Let me see. There's a few. Yeah, those are the major ones. There's a few small backend like UI fixes and whatnot, but those are the main ones.
Okay, awesome. So there was some last time when we had. Why am I drawing a total blank for who we had for the name of the person who we had on the show?
Oh.
Brock.
No, not on Monday night. From Note.
Dominic?
Oh, yes, Dominic.
Dominic. Okay, sorry. Blank.
Yeah.
So when we had Dominic on the show and Moby, everyone was kind of like, "Oh, there's a big announcement coming," and "Oh, we can't talk about it." Is there anything that we can talk about now that you can tell us about?
That was regarding the secret feature, which is the health challenge.
Okay.
So we just talked about it. So.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yep.
Awesome. Any questions from the audience or from you, Seth?
Well, I mean, yeah, I've always got questions when it comes to different cryptocurrencies. I've always got suggestions, as I'm sure Ethan's already aware. I mean, I've been pestering him about the possibility of moving, forking to a CPU mineable algorithm so that perhaps either on ARM, ARM processors so that people can mine directly on their phones, or on the desktop, if there is some kind of a desktop client or Electron client, people can mine from within the app so that you have people who are totally staked, right? They totally have skin in the game. And you have people from underserved markets like South Asia and Southeast Asia. They then have the means to produce, right? To produce blocks or to produce block reward for themselves and get in on the action. I know that's a big technological ask, right? To say like, hey, fork your proof of work. It's non-trivial. I get that. I do. So he knows I've got ideas, right? And that's the problem with a guy like me. I talk to a lot of devs, right? So I've always got ideas, but I know you guys have direction and you have momentum, which is great.
And I mean, there are a lot of good ideas, and some of them, even if they are good ideas, we can't implement because of resource constraints and time constraints. And with respect to the algorithm, what I would like to do ideally is fork it, maybe change the algorithm maybe once or twice per decade. I don't want, because it's such a big change. So I'm not talking about little improvements like changing the block reward time or whatever, which is something we are also working on because we have some issues on the chain. But changing from a POW to a script ASIC algorithm to a a CPU mining algorithm, or let's say what we talked about of third or fourth gen blockchain algorithm. That's something that I like to keep to a minimum, to ideally twice a decade or less, hopefully.
Got it. Yeah.
But I realize that is a good idea, but it's a little bit beyond what we can do now. But the thing is, in the blockchain space, everything is so fluid. We're still so new in the game, that I would almost never have a definitive no to things like that, because there are things I would say definitively no to that are a violation of our principles.
Sure.
But this is not. This is just a technical thing. So I wouldn't say a hard no, but I would say it's pretty unlikely in the short term, at least.
Sure. Well, while we're talking about things that are pretty unlikely, let me throw a couple more things at you. So just, hear me out, humor me for just a moment, because you're on our show.
But
Go
ahead, shoot.
But there are so many people, especially like Amiris, who's logged in right now, and in the comment section again. Amiris, thanks for being here. Like 3 Douglas, I know you're going to be commenting over on another platform, won't name names, but there are several members of the community who've had the problem of being unbanked because of reasons that were outside of their control. Amiris, she sent props. She said thank you for resisting getting listed with Ntbc onto platforms that require really heavy KYC, just because that actually works to exclude people who are unbanked because of intense personal distress, or situations where maybe they don't have a mailing address, or maybe they don't already have a bank that they're working with, and so that edges them out of being able to actually work within crypto for exchanges that require KYC. All of that is kind of a circuitous way to say the same is true of a lot of blockchains that are open ledgers, right? Or that are public ledgers. So the Bitcoins, the Litecoins, even Litecoin is talking about bringing on Mimblewimble to add pure fungibility. They're entertaining the possibility of becoming a privacy coin in the long haul. There are some platforms that use crypto notes, so related to Monero, and they use them to pretty good advantage in this space of measuring attention and rewarding attention with a portion of the block reward. Where Note blockchain is right now, or where Note Social is right now, it seems that Note Social, the wallet client, the amount of work that's gone into that could potentially be reworked to either function with a conditionally private blockchain like Zcash. Zcash has just gone through major work to overhaul their ZK snarks and their mobile wallets to be able to send shielded transactions from light clients like the mobile wallet. It's pretty astounding what they've done, because it used to really require some computation and having a full copy of the blockchain to be able to send fully shielded Z transactions. And they've done that. But in the crypto note space, it's been possible to run from a light client for some time. So decoupling potentially the Note Social application from the token itself, or the coin itself, Note, and possibly having that be an entire switch off, right, or handoff, where it, based on the circulating supply at the time of the change, just allow for a swap, right? Pre-mine the necessary amount of coins, and then just offer a swap program. But you could add privacy, you could add fungibility, and you could, by doing that, incentivize people who are already kind of struggling with fitting into the KYC system, and people who already kind of who are already concerned about privacy, and, like you mentioned before, having the past come back to haunt them, and having a record on the blockchain of tips from events if somebody wanted to take a screenshot as well, or if they wanted to do a timing attack and then go use a block explorer to say, oh yeah, well, I tipped exactly this amount. It's an oddly specific amount, and I tipped it so that I could then go check the block explorer and then pair that with my screenshot. That's a non-sophisticated attack, and it will work.
Yes.
Right. Like, but so using something that's a privacy-oriented blockchain to then decrease the likelihood of that attack vector being used. And you then gain the goodwill of kind of some of the diehards in the space whose main criticism has been that they want a lot more either censorship resistance or a degree of privacy in using the platform.
So let me address that in two parts, right? The first is the KYC. The second is the privacy concern. With respect to KYC, I think that for now it's not an issue, and going forward, I think our aim is to keep at least a few exchanges that don't require KYC. And to be honest, any exchange can implement our coin if they want to, because it's an open source. The blockchain itself is open source, so there's nothing stopping them. So that isn't going to be a big issue, and hopefully, Amiris, you agree. The second part is the privacy part. Being a social media driven app, privacy with regard to user data is a high concern. So we will never profit. So our principle is we'll never profit from user data. We won't sell the user data. We don't even keep a record of it, with the exception of reported posts, right? So if your post expires after 24 hours and nobody reports it, it's gone. It's completely gone from our servers. It's only when somebody reports it that it's kept. But with regards to transaction privacy, that is not a big focus for us, because several reasons. One is the technical aspect of it. It just takes a lot more time and effort to develop, especially integrating with a social media app then. The second part is also a little bit more that has to do with regulations and government. So if we offer a degree of privacy that's on the level of, say, Monero, we're going to have a little big target painted on our chest, from various governments, and that's not really a goal for us. So it's pseudo anonymous in the way that blockchain or Bitcoin and Litecoin are also pseudo anonymous. That as long as you're not publishing your stuff, you can more or less hide it from normal users, right? Everyday users like you, Nicole, myself, and anybody else online. It's not that you can track it. It's not extremely easy, and of course you can transfer to exchanges or different wallets. You can use have multiple wallets with you, or the web and desktop wallets. But complete anonymity and privacy is not really a focus for us. One, because we're a social media platform. Two, we don't want to have have a target on our backs from the governments and say, oh well, now you're enabling all these things, and we all know what happened to Silk Road is obviously extreme case, but I don't want to end up in that kind of situation. So if you really want to be completely anonymous and have your transactions untrackable, it's not really the coin to use. Use Monero.
Okay, got it. So just to be very clear, I brought those up. I brought up those concepts only because you mentioned before, in terms of expression that is permitted on the platform in the over 18 category. One of the biggest concerns that users of platforms like this have is the fear of reprisal. So I know this is kind of decoupled from what I was mentioning before with KYC and such, but reprisal from employers if they discover that, for example, and it's happened on other social media platforms where maybe a lawyer or a doctor or even just a teacher, right? Somebody who works in relatively highly visible public service decides that she wants to wear a bikini to the beach.
Sure.
Not even a particularly scandalous piece of clothing, but a bikini to the beach. And somebody takes a photo, posts it to Twitter, and then all of a sudden she gets a phone call from the administrators of the school saying that doesn't represent our values. and it had nothing to do with her being at work. It had nothing to do with her employment at all. And so what I was mentioning before, I'm just going to lay out for you in theory here, a very plausible timing attack in terms of de-anonymizing Notes Social. Right now, I can choose to designate the tip amount in Notes Social. I could choose to designate a very specific amount. Just for the sake of kicks and giggles, I'm going to say that I want to designate the amount 8,008 notes and 15 8008.15, right?
Sure. Yep.
Because I'm being really silly, and I want to tip a female who I think is attractive. I can take a screenshot of that photo that's been posted to Note, and now I can go to the Block Explorer and I can look when was the last time within the approximate time that I was giving that tip that a specific amount of 8,008 notes 0.15 was tipped to anybody. I now know what the address is of that person, and I can further then discover. I can watch that address on the Block Explorer into the future, even if that person decides to change something about some aspect of their account info, right, on the application. I now know what the wallet address is, so they can change their name on the app. I know what their address is, and if they've re-authenticated somewhere else or changed devices, maybe they've even changed carriers, maybe they're doing some other identity change. Blockchain is very unforgiving.
The only way to completely change that, because there's two ways. One is if they block you, then you can't see their posts, you can't interact with them, but you can still look up their address on the blockchain, right? The other way is if they use a new phone number to sign up for an account, then they would get a new mobile app wallet address. But I get what you're saying, but that's not something that that's a risk that we all take on social media, right? If you do the same thing on Twitter or something, and if you post something, even if we disable screenshots, somebody can go, to either take a screenshot with their computer or their phone, the second phone, right?
Right.
So, there's no easy answer to that.
Sure.
Unfortunately, there's always going to be creeps out there that there would be a small percentage of them in any big population, always.
Right. And motivated bad actors, even if not creeps per se, they're just trying to cause problems. And that's why I bring up the blockchain aspect of it, that the screenshots are just one part of that equation. To then have it cause problems down the line, we'll take the situation that I brought up before, because it's not unprecedented. It happens those other social media platforms, right? If you combine somebody posting a sort of maybe a racy photo on a social media platform where it's permitted, it's not a rule violation, and then you add to that they received some sort of remuneration, and then that can be proven via the blockchain, I think that then becomes damaging. And I think that there's precedent for that as well, for teachers or anybody in public service or anybody who's in the public eye who's done something on, say, OnlyFans, or who's done something on other platforms similar, and then they've been busted, air quotes, by their employer because there's proof that they received payment in exchange for photos.
Right.
I think right now there's a bit of an issue there when using a transparent blockchain. And if you use a privacy-oriented blockchain, then if it's only used internally for tipping, then you solve that problem.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, and long term, that may be something that we can address, but in the next 6 to 18 months, we can't do at least 6 to 18 months. We probably can't do anything about that, because that's the way it is.
Sure. Well, thank you for hearing me out also.
To do it. That's a good thing it's a good thing to raise and a good thing to think about, so that when we do plan the next algorithm change, that these are things that we can incorporate into into the solution. Maybe we'll have a good way to address it. Maybe we won't, but at least we'll have the chance to think about it.
hey, hopefully before that even happens, we can talk about some major systemic changes to where it won't be a problem for, teachers or people in public services to do whatever it is that they want to do with their own,
That's right. I mean, that's more of a cultural and institutional problem that, unfortunately affects social media platforms.
Mhm.
But, it's not us that's firing the person. It's, if they don't, if it's not normal to fire people for those things, then it really isn't a problem for society.
Yeah,
Right?
and speaking of making major systemic changes, next Monday, one of our guests, we actually have a triple episode on next Monday, and one of our guests is Vice Presidential Libertarian nominee Adam Kokesh.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. What else we got?
Oh my gosh, we have the host of the What Bitcoin Did podcast, one Mr. Peter McCormick. It's kind of mind-boggling because there are only so many really popular Bitcoin podcasts. Peter McCormick is on a very short list, and it's just really exciting that he's choosing to come spend some time with us and talk about. Well, he's actually committing to not just talk about Bitcoin. That's the thing. He's talking about the full crypto ecosystem. So
Yep.
Awesome.
And tribalism at that. So
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw the news today on Twitter. So congratulations on that.
I share the kind of extent because originally, yeah, I'm excited. So when I messaged him, I think originally you started messaging with him, but didn't have a hard commit. And then he and I started messaging, and I thought that he was going to back out when he asked me this question: do you promote shitcoins? And, I was like, you know what? I don't think so. We have an objective set of criteria that we use to evaluate projects, and then we leave it up to our audience to decide for themselves whether or not they want to make an investment. We don't really advise on anything like that. Additionally, kind of explained my background with my academic research in tribalism and how I saw it fitting into cryptocurrency, and he enthusiastically agreed to still come on the show. So thank you, Peter.
And I mean, just to make it clear to your viewers, this is not, Note didn't sponsor this video.
Nope.
We didn't pay anything. I did tip quite a bit to both of your posts, but I mean, that's in the region of what, 10,000 notes or so, $1, $2, $3, $5, whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, here's we could always issue our addresses on the Block Explorer if you guys really want to be creepers and check out all of our tips, but that's too much transparency, I think.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's I think it's a good show. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys like the new features. Excited to, and it's just, Seth, if you want to be part of the beta test, just send me an email.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to. In fact, this is breaking. And Nicole, you didn't even know this. Oh, got something coming up. I will be testing out one of the USB form factor ASICs for Scrypt mining. So I will be mining some Note on the channel and comparing it against GPU mining so that those who aren't familiar with how to get started have a bit of a primer on how to do some proof of work contribution to the Ntbc ecosystem. But I would love to be included in that early beta. A bit of my background: I worked at Samsung Telecom USA from their Central Texas office way back when they were first debuting their wearables and some of the pulse oximeters and heart rate monitors on their phones.
So awesome.
So this is right up my alley. That's what I was getting. Would love
cool.
To
and yeah, and I mean, I know what you're saying. It can be exploited. So it's, you really should only send it to people that you trust or at least don't care of, if you think they're going to exploit it and just shake it for 1,000 times, send them 50 notes instead of 50,000. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for making time for us. It really means a lot. Shout out to the DC Adventure team that had Ethan on last time. Yeah, really just such a great bunch of content creators that are hanging on right now. And yeah, I know that you've had a lot that you're focused on. So it means a lot you're spending some time with us tonight. Nicole, do we I've got to ask before we finish up the live stream, Nicole, are you wearing a special T-shirt tonight?
I am, and I'll show you.
Oh snap! She's getting undressed. Quick!
Yeah, guys.
Nobody's like it. Yeah.
Screenshots.
All right. So yeah, really. Come on. All right. So
All right. Awesome.
Satoshi for president 2020. The election is coming up, potentially, assuming that it doesn't get canceled or postponed. Right. So, we've talked a lot about what Satoshi for president means. It kind of means all of us in charge of our own, thing. So, I mean, putting the people back in charge of their money, putting the people back in control of their lives. And you can pick one up at mineyour.biz. There's several options to choose from.
And we are still running the special of 5% off when using the discount code ZELLHAVING, and that is in conjunction with a partner project, the Zell team. They produce Zell Core, the multi-coin wallet, which Ethan maybe we can talk about afterwards or offline at some point. But the Zell multi-coin wallet, as well as Zell Flux and some other products that they produce. I'm not obligated to say any of that stuff. This is, and they didn't pay for this coverage, but we're giving you 5% off if you just use that code ZELLHAVING, and we give you 5% off any of your purchases all the way through this weekend. So don't sleep, guys. Don't slack. Go get some sweet swag, and you can pay for it in crypto natively.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye. We're still live.
Okay. Are we?
I think we're still live right now. It still says live.
Okay.